I am Kesha Rodgers, and I am a co-founder of the Ally League, a company I started with a good friend of mine, Sara So, to help amplify and promote and support Black-owned businesses in an effort to help dismantle systemic racism.
Hello, hello. Am I getting the camera? Good.
You're in the camera.
Okay, great. Hello, I am Sara So. I am the co-founder of the Ally League with Kesha. We just started this recently, as Kesha said, to really help support the Black community and find ways to help people be actively anti-racist.
Kesha, I'm going to start my first question with you. Why don't you go ahead? What was the motivation in creating the Ally League?
Our motivation for doing this was that, as working moms and having busy lives, we recognized that there are a lot of us who want to do something but don't know what to do. And we wanted to shift people from empathy to action, moving beyond the performative things like changing your square black in Instagram. What are things that can actively and meaningfully make a difference for people who are less likely and because of the way that life is right now, maybe for even health reasons, unable to protest actively or be more physically engaged? Can we find ways to make it so that anyone can actively be anti-racist?
Sara, as you and Kesha came together on this, what ideas did you have and how did you land to where you are today?
So when we first started, it was a really big mission and we had a lot of ideas, including an event calendar and educational content and different ways to approach and make anti-racist information more accessible to everyday people. But ultimately, we found that the niche that hadn't been filled, or at least not locally, was sourcing products from Black-owned businesses. And it was a little bit more tangible and easier to be a starting point. And of course, it built revenue for us. But ultimately, we have a lot of other goals, including, maybe doing a podcast, doing more education through our social media channels. But at this point, we're really trying to proof of concept, build the audience to show that there are people interested in this content and make it more accessible to everyday people.
Kesha, according to the Small Business Association, 40% of all Black-owned small businesses have failed in 2020. How are you helping fight against that tidal wave?
It was actually a big motivation for us to start, as Sara said, with one thing. We had so many ideas. We still do have so many ideas for how to help. But the fact that so many businesses are failing this year, a lot of that has to do with exposure. There is an assumption among a lot of people that if a product has a Black person on the front of it, that it's for Black people, that it's not for everyone. And there are myriad. We have encountered so many companies, so many fantastic products that if they were only in someone's hands, they would buy them over and over and over again. So this really seemed like an opportunity for us to help make an impact locally for these businesses that, especially this year, are finding it harder and harder to find an audience and harder to stay afloat.
Sara, what is a product that really stands out to you among some of the things that you're supporting that it's like, this is just amazing, we have to get this out in front of other people?
That's a really hard question because we love everything that's in the box, and everything that's in there is really, like Kesha said, intended for all audiences. And if we didn't tell you that it was Black-owned, you probably wouldn't know it. The cookies are delicious, they're gourmet, there's coffee, there's body products, there's things that are just really high quality, handcrafted, locally sourced, things that all consumers, we think, will appreciate. And one of the things I discovered was honey water, which is a sparkling water that's flavored with honey, which is kind of a novel idea that I think could appeal to a lot of people. So there's just a lot of exciting new things in there.
I am a huge fan of sparkling water, so I am going to have to give that a try. Kesha, what else is the Ally League doing past Black Box?
We have a lot on the docket. As Sara had mentioned, we want to share information, make information about how to be anti-racist more accessible to people. And so a podcast as an idea. There's are quite a few pieces that we want to write to share information, but more than that, we want to do things that support these businesses as well as support educating people, and that includes connecting them with community organizations organizations that are actively engaged in social justice activities. Another of them is creating a volunteer program so that we can pair up perhaps teenagers who are looking for volunteer opportunities with some of the small businesses who might need some help packaging. They just need a few extra hands to put labels on things. So that, for example, a teen has an example of representation. They see Black business owners, they learn from them, and the Black business owner also gets the help and assistance they need to stay afloat.
What is a misconception or a misunderstanding that people have that you really wish that they understood better?
That's a tough question because there are several of them. One that immediately comes to mind is that, as I've mentioned before, that products by Black companies are for Black people, and that is that's the lane we're in and want to stay in. It's definitely not the case. As people who have purchased a Black box and received it have mentioned, they're fantastic things that are universal, things that are universally needed, used, and consumed.
I think people believe that the white community needs to help or teach the Black community, but I have learned more from the Black community, and I think they have more to offer our suburban white community. We just need to interface and learn from them and their resilience, their positivity, their community support of each other. Like, just every time I meet a Black person or a Black business owner or the activists that we've been talking to, the mutual aid concept, there is so much to be learned about community from the Black community, and grace and resilience and optimism. Like, their history is so tragic, and yet here they are, like, functioning and thriving in a community that is not set up for them, or a society that is not set up for them. The reason I want to put white teenagers into Black communities locally is so that white people can learn from Black people, not vice versa.
I absolutely agree that there are so many things that white people and others can learn from the Black community. And I also think that it's really important to, one of the other misconceptions is that fighting racism is hard, and that you have to be exceptionally bold, and you have to be really forward, and you have to protest, and there are so many different ways to actively be anti-racist. And one of the misconceptions is, unless you are doing something big, you're not doing anything at all. And what we want to show is it's the small things, it's the everyday choices that you make that make the biggest impact. It's how you spend your money, it's how you spend your time. It's looking at the friends around you and seeing how many of the friends look, act, and behave exactly like you do, and how many don't. And if you notice that there are some homogeneity, then that means that you need to mix things up, because that's really the way that people learn, grow, and learn to be more inclusive.
Tell me what's in Black Box. Let's talk a little bit about Black Box.
My goodness, there's some fantastic stuff in Black Box. Sara has already mentioned honey water, which is that great sparkling beverage. We have Lip and Body Butter that provides these great skincare products. Suki's candles, which are soy, vegan, no additives, and they smell incredible. And there are Pink Niece cookies, which is another fabulous, very local company. And there is some Bumbuna coffee, and they are an exceptional coffee roaster that sources exclusively from Africa, largely in Ethiopia and Eritrea. And I can say firsthand that the coffee is incredible as a coffee fiend myself. There are also a few other goodies in there. I don't know if we want to give everything away.
Part of what we're going to put into every box that we sell is a compassionist keychain. So it's a canvas tag that has embroidery that says the Ally League on one side and then compassionist on the other. And we really want people to put the compassionist mindset front and center, and to remember, and there's skin tones on the embroidery, from light skin to dark skin, but we're all a part of this together. And I think the best thing we can bring to these conversations is compassion in both directions, or in every direction, recognizing that everyone's story is different. Everyone brings something different from their experiences and their exposure, and just having compassion for each other, trying to step away from the cancel culture or the tone policing, or that you can't say this, you can't be an ally unless someone says you're an ally. Like, let's drop that kind of culture or mindset and just recognize, just listen to each other and see where we're coming from. And of course, we all have growth. I'm still learning. No one's perfect, but having more compassion for each other, I think, is what's needed at this moment in time.
Yes, yes, that compassionate message is really important. And it shows up in many ways. One of them is there is a tendency for people not to be given a chance when they make a mistake. And one of the things that's important to us is this culture that has emerged of really discouraging people from trying, because when they make a mistake, they get flamed. People are really unkind, both in person and on the internet, for people who are just trying to learn along the way. And unless we create space for that learning, unless we give people an opportunity to try things, fail, and try again, we're never going to make progress. So it's really, really important not to cancel people who make a mistake if they are earnest in their attempts. It's how can we, the Ally League, and we as people, be more compassionate, not just for people who are experiencing racism, but also compassionate for the people who are trying their hardest to change their own behaviors, trying to educate themselves and trying to learn as they go. I think we can create a much better, a much faster change if we embrace and encourage people as opposed to discouraging them.
How much is Black Box, and how do I go and get one?
You can order a Black Box from theallyleague.com, TheAllyLeague.com. The large Black Box or Premier Black Box is $75 and contains more than 5 products, very high quality products from Black-owned companies. And there is a mini Black Box that has 3 items in it, and that one is $25.
Wonderful. I understand that supplies are limited.
Absolutely. We anticipate selling out before the holidays, and if demand warrants it, we'll do a second run that will be available next year. So our intention is to essentially have the Premier Box for sale indefinitely, and then go with second and third editions or subsequent editions, so that if people discover us later, they can still catch up, and the businesses that we're featuring now will continue to benefit from building our audience. The other thing I will mention that might be of interest is our desire to create custom boxes for businesses for corporate giving, either for holidays or for clients, or even if they're doing a seminar or something, we can create, custom content, including like snacks if you're doing a conference, where everything that's in the box will be Black owned, and we can co-brand the box with your company's name, so that's another way to get our message and really our impact, whether or not you want to make it a diversity message. The reality is everything we sell is from Black businesses. And even, our website is designed by Black people. We have Black photographer, Black print shop, everything we do as much as possible engages with Black owned companies. So if you do business with us, those people will benefit.
If I'm a Black business and I'm watching this, how do I engage with the Ally League?
If you are a Black owned business and want to engage with us, the best thing to do is to reach out directly. So you can email us at info@theallyleague.com and start an introduction, and we'd be happy to engage.
Kesha, Sara, I want to thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. Viewers, if you want to help out, you can go to the website. It's on the lower third on the screen, theallyleague.com, and get yourself a Black Box or 2 for people that you care about this holiday season. And once again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and your audience.